So, welcome to Indy Xamarin. We've got some great sponsors, Sondi Solutions, Launch Fishers, who we can't go to right now, MFractor, of course, and Matthew Robbins of MFractor is presenting tonight. Very cool tool. He's going to tell you all about it, and RevDebug.
Hey, Ari.
Yep.
One thing, for the first 10 people that are in here, if they drop their emails in the meeting chat, we will send them a $10 Grubhub gift card tomorrow. So.
Oh, wonderful. So yeah, make sure you do that. I hope everyone heard that. Yay. All right. So tonight we've got Matthew Robbins from MFractor. Very excited about this. He's going to tell you all about that tool, which is now available for Windows. I use it in all of my Xamarin development. It's the power tool that you need when you've got when you're building a Xamarin app. So without any further ado, your time is limited. Take it away, Matthew. And you should be able to just present. I don't think I have the presenter stuff locked.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for the intro. Apologies for the rush. I've got a client meeting in about half an hour, so I'm squeezing things in. It's good though. Okay, where are we going? Sharing. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So, first of all, thanks for having me, everyone. It's awesome to be, I guess, attending. I haven't been to Fisher or Indianapolis before, but I guess in spirit, I'm here at the moment. So that's pretty cool. Just to confirm, you guys can see my screen. Just someone coming off mute and saying yay or nay. You should be able to see a PowerPoint slide.
Yep, I can see it just fine.
Cool, and it's following my movements as I'm going.
You have changed your desktops. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, yep. Yep. As Uri said, I'm the founder and owner of a product called MFractor. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's a productivity tool for the Xamarin ecosystem. Or I guess in the next year or two, it's going to be a productivity tool for the Maui ecosystem, which is pretty amazing news. Basically, just some background for me. Again, founder of MFractor. I've been working with Xamarin since 2012. So that's roughly the early days of kind of, if you remember, like the days of linked files and pre-Xamarin Forms and pure Xamarin native. And it was a glorious time of much pain and much interesting things to come. So I've been through the journey over the years. Probably built maybe two dozen apps, possibly more in that time. And roughly in about 2015, I decided to start building tooling for the ecosystem. So that's kind of the origins of MFractor. Now over the past 5 years, I've been doing Xamarin Forms development, Android and iOS, and have started to really try to patch the holes and just make the experience with building XAML-based apps much easier, and also trying to solve some of those core problems with like font tools, image management, code generation, just trying to make things, I guess, a lot easier for the community as a whole. So, yep, that's my story. It's a fun ride. I really enjoy what I do, and I'm pretty excited to kind of show you what I've been working on this year. So like I said, MFractor is a powerful productivity tool for Xamarin developers. The really cool thing about MFractor is that our code base is more or less completely shared. So this means that it's available for both Mac and Windows. So there's an extension available in the Visual Studio for Windows Marketplace and an extension available in the Visual Studio for Mac extensions browser. The code base, like I said, is pretty much completely shared. I think it's at about 90% code share. So basically I can write one feature and it automatically comes for free into both products, which is pretty sweet and took a bit of work to do, but it's pretty cool. Before I dive into kind of a demo and talking about all the different features that are in MFractor, I'd just like to run over kind of at a high level the core benefits of it. So what does it actually provide you as a developer? What are we aiming to give you and help you with? First of all, we're trying to surface what you need when you need it. So the idea here is that giving you extra contextual information in tooltips, in adornments, so showing colors inside the XAML designer. If you hover over an image reference, you see a preview of that image. So really just trying to help you gain a deeper insight into your code as you're working. Next is trying to help you spend less typo by me, less time on busy work. So busy work for me is things like bindable properties, for instance. It's something that I use quite a lot when I'm doing custom controls, but setting up those structures takes a lot of time and it's repetitive. So what we've been aiming to try and do is identify those repetitive code patterns, so things that can more or less be scaffolded, and basically make them automated so that you can just code gen them. And it has a bit of smarts around how it does that. And I guess the last and more important benefit, so what Raf and I really try to focus on, is trying to help you spend more time writing the code that actually matters. So the whole thing that we're trying to do is improve your productivity so that you can write the correct code the first time. And that means that you're writing, a well-built, performant UI that's for the business requirements that your job, that you're working within your job. So basically trying to help you make less mistakes and kind of write things to spec the first time. Obviously, that's not always going to be possible because that's just life. But we really, really are trying to kind of help you get to that point. Yep. So without further ado, just a quick product demo kind of a couple of the different features that we have on offer. Now I'll be demoing the Windows products for this. Basically everything that's in the Windows product is in the Mac product, and vice versa. So if you see a feature, chances are, well, not chances are, it will be in both IDEs. And if you have a question on that particular feature, just ask me and I can go into it in more detail. Okay, so I have my Visual Studio for Windows open. Now there's a couple of things that I want to immediately point out. One of the really, really cool things that MFractor adds that I've been loving recently, we've got this idea of a color adornment. So basically, if we're picking up a color literal or a color static resource, we're putting in these little adornments to help you just visualize what that color looks like. And a really, really nice thing is you can actually click on them and it will crack open the color editor that we can then kind of just change the color and it will clean it up for us. On the same note about adornments, we've also got grid index adornments. So these are really, really neat because it means you can basically just eyeball a grid and see exactly what the index is for a particular row or column. Now without these, so one of the things that I've seen people do, and it's really, really common, is that you do like index 3 to kind of like maintain and understand the state of how that grid is structured. And that's all well and good until you delete this first one, until you delete one before, and then all of a sudden it's out of whack. So the index adornments kind of really help reduce that cognitive load, so you can just look straight at a grid, know exactly how it's going to work. Seeing as we're on the idea of grids, we've also got roughly 100 different refactorings inside the product. So you'll see as I'm clicking through, the screwdriver menus activating. So if I click on that, we get these lots and lots of different code actions, but specifically for grids, one of the things that I use quite a lot now are these three refactorings here. So delete row, insert row before, insert row after. And they do basically exactly what they say. So if I click on insert row before, actually I'll just quickly highlight a few things. So grid row 4, just here. So that'll be targeting this one. And if I do the refactoring, so I've just pressed Alt Enter, and then I do insert row before, it injects a row before the current row, and it will also go through and update all the grid rows and spans. So row spans, columns, and column spans. So it just makes refactoring and moving around grids much, much easier. Now, in terms of refactorings, that's 3 of about 100. If you are interested in viewing all the refactorings, you can go on to docs.mfractor.com/feature matrix. And this is basically a bird's eye view of everything that we've got in the product. So everything from image and font management to different wizards, all the different XAML and C# code actions. So there's quite a lot. Navigation tooling, XAML analysis. And yeah, there's quite a lot. I'm definitely not going to be able to get into all of these in a short demo. Now, quickly, just 2 more features. One of the things that our customers really, really like, and I particularly find quite useful, is our image management tooling. So if I go to extensions, MFractor, and then manage image assets, we have this idea of a mobile image asset manager. This is basically an aggregated view of all the different image densities across the Android, iOS, and UWP projects in a solution. So for instance, if I click on XDS, it is showing me the different image assets for the Android and iOS. And if I open up resources, it's got all the different densities for iOS. Likewise, for Android in all the different density folders. So this is really just a nice way of getting a bird's eye view of all the images in your application. And now from here, you can do things like importing a new image asset and it will generate all the densities. You can delete an asset and it will delete all the densities. You can do searching. You can do optimization. We have a find usages as well. So quite a few different nice tools for working with image assets. And one of the, actually, while I'm on the idea of image assets, one of the nice things is I can go into XAML and enter an image asset. And if I hover over an image asset reference, I actually get an image preview of what that image will look like. And so that's really, really useful to just, I guess, just visually understand what this image asset reference is pointing to. And we also have data, we also have analysis to warn us when images don't exist that we've referenced. And I can just click on one of these links to resolve that image reference. Now, the last thing that that MFractor offers is basically a really nice experience working with the MVVM pattern. So chances are, if you're working in Xamarin Forms, you're building views and view models and using data binding to associate the two. So connecting welcome to command to the command on this button, for instance, and that maps to main ViewModel.welcome command. So we have, I'll get rid of that app.xaml there and that one. So we have IntelliSense for these properties based on naming convention. So that will give us basically IntelliSense, so auto-completion. We also have data binding validation. So if I hover over that after I've made a typo, it will give me a warning that that particular property doesn't bind correctly, and also quite a few options on how to resolve that issue. So I can just simply then click on one of those links to apply the fix. And lastly, we also have a series of shortcuts to help you move between the 3 core classes in the MVVM pattern. So that's the XAML view, the ViewModel, and the code behind for the XAML view. So if I right-click anywhere in a XAML file or a ViewModel, I get these 3 options. So go to ViewModel, go to code behind class, and go to XAML view. And I can just click on that, click on the ViewModel one, and it'll jump me to it. Likewise, I can right-click and go to code behind, and it will take me to the code behind. Right-click, go to XAML view, and it will take me back to the view. Now in this project, it's not it's quite a small project. We've only got 1 view and 1 view model. Now, as you can imagine, or any apps that you've worked on, it's very, very typical for an app to get 50 plus pages in view models. And so trying to kind of navigate around and find the view for a view model or a view model for a view, it's quite cumbersome. So this shortcut is really, really useful for just being able to quickly jump to that particular location. This is personally something that I use, dozens of times a day, and it helps me immensely. So that's, in terms of features, that's probably 2-3% of what's actually on offer. I would love to go through everything, but I think just for the sake of time, that's probably not the best idea. So I'm going to jump back into my presentation and just kind of wrap up and leave some time for questions. So demo. If you want to learn more about any of those features or kind of like understand what MFractor offers as a whole product, jump into docs.mfractor.com. That's a good launching point for kind of starting to dive into all the different features on offer. And if you want a high-level overview of everything that the product has, head to the feature matrix. So if you want to install it, there's 2 ways. So for Windows, it's via the Visual Studio Marketplace, or optionally via the extensions menu. For Visual Studio for Mac, it's via the extensions manager. So for Windows, it's extensions, manage extensions. And you can search here for MFractor. For Mac, it's Visual Studio extensions, gallery, and then IDE extensions, and it will just be here. And to get started, look at installation and setup. So just before we go into questions, a few things. When you activate MFractor, you'll get an automatic 30-day free trial. So that'll give you access to everything. After 30 days, it will downgrade to light. So that cuts out quite a lot of features. Light's designed for hobbyists, so it'll give you things like XAML analysis and a few files per day, but it's quite a toned down version of the actual product itself. So any questions?
I was curious on the font side of things, if you could show that off.
Yeah, sure thing.
Especially with the new font flow that they've got now.
I will, sure I've got a font testing.
And while you're bringing that up, are you working with the Microsoft team on the Maui side of things?
I am not yet, but we'll be closely tracking that stuff because it obviously deeply impacts what we're doing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the plan will be to follow alongside each of the Maui releases, mm-hmm. And basically track with and make sure that we're supporting it. Yeah, so font tooling, we're definitely further ahead in the Mac side here, just because there's some limitations of what we can do for Windows. where do I start? Okay, so the first thing, because we've got this Roboto regular font reference, I can hover over a particular block of text when it's assigned a font family, and it will render a font preview. So just to kind of show you that that's actually regular, it gives me a nice kind of preview of the font. Likewise, if I change that to, say, a font awesome asset, we'll now get IntelliSense for all the different glyphs inside that asset. So super, super useful.
So I actually haven't used the font awesome side yet. So it just puts the Unicode reference in there, and then that's what pulls it up.
Yep.
Neat.
Yeah, so that's game changing for me.
Yeah.
Like you just simply don't have to remember. Well, you don't have to search anymore. You try to find. You can just kind of like do like caret, then start scrolling through and finding them.
Nice.
We've also got tooling to import fonts. So if I do MFractor import font, this will add it using the old methodology, but we do also support the embedded fonts methodology.
Is that coming? Where that'll be an option?
That will probably supersede. So I think we'll probably retire the font importer in its current state, and we'll go back. Like we'll actually just add it to the shared project, so the core project, and auto-generate like the export declaration and maybe like a font asset class to expose all the glyphs. So.
Is it any more or less performant to do it the quote-unquote new way?
No, not. I don't think so. Like it's just kind of loading a font lazily into the like the actual platform's font registration. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. So does anyone have any other questions? Anyone? You might be muted if you're trying to talk. No?
There's no discounts or anything for like small businesses. Like I know some products they offer like if you don't have X amount of employees, sometimes you get a discount.
I'm usually happy to cut a discount if you ask for one.
No, it's okay. I want to try to bring it to my boss, and so I was just
okay.
That was it.
How many employees do you have?
9.
Xamarin Developers. 9. Okay.
Just 2 developers.
Yeah. No, I'm usually more than happy to support like other businesses. It's yeah, you just have to ask for it, and then I'll figure something out.
Right. Okay, well I'll talk to my boss, then I could maybe reach out to Ari or something if that works.
Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat. So yeah, just hit me up. We'll figure something out.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. Also, more than happy to have training calls and stuff to help you get started.
Yeah, I wish we had a little more time just because there's so much that you can do with MFractor. The image management by itself is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm loving to death is the ability to pull styles out. So I can pull this out and say my style into the outputs.
Is that just Alt Enter to access that?
Yeah, yes it is, yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of your pull out a user control.
Oh, that thing's rolled gold. Oh.
Yeah.
We've got some updates planned for that.
Building that manually, while it's not terribly hard, just being able to Alt Enter and say extract user control. Yay. You know?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Actually, another thing that I love to death is being able to, so you build like a stack layout, because I love grids, but I just find them hard to work with.
Yep.
So I start doing a stack layout, I build my UI, and then once I know that it's kind of like more or less done, I do alt return convert to grid, and it just migrates and pre-baits it.
Huh.
So it's super, super useful. Yeah.
Interesting. I never tried that. Very cool.
I could definitely go on and on.
Yeah, it would be cool to see some hierarchy, like when you're looking through your collections. But
What else? Another one that I really like, see if it's going to do it. In an ideal world, when things work properly, there is this matching style analysis that would try to force it to refresh tools. There we go. So it's doing a style match against the style defined in the this main area, and so I can then go and then apply the style. It needs some cleanup. Anyway, it's okay. So that's really, really useful. And if you are doing things like horizontal options center, this obviously needs tune up, but it should normally match that property and suggest that it can be removed because it's already set by the style. So that's another personal favorite.
so when you extract the style, and I know you've got to go here in a moment, when you extract the style, can you extract it to the app XAML so that you have it global? Okay.
So if I do, happy.
I think you have to highlight the whole thing, right?
Yeah. Testing. You should be able to just push it out to the app.xaml, and it will. So there's a weird bug in Visual Studio for Mac where it's not visualizing the style. Like it won't actually show the text changes.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that, but there's been a few bugs recently in VS Mac.
Yeah. So that's anyway, that's frustrating. So it did extract it, it just hasn't. Yeah. Anyway.
Very cool.
So any more questions before I need to unfortunately jump away? I might be able to squeeze it out to about 12, 13 past.
Anyone?
Thank you.
A lot, man.
Yeah.
Nice
hey,
presentation.
Thanks for joining us, Matthew, especially
Not
early
a
in the
problem.
morning.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
More than
So
happy to be
we'll
part of
stay
it.
on, and we'll still have some Q&A. I can actually show off some of the MFractor stuff too if anybody wants to see it. But yeah, thanks, Matthew. And we'll make a recording of this available once this particular meetup's over. On the, I'll tweet it and I'll put it on the Meetup site.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for having me. I'll catch you guys later.
Thanks, Matthew.
Cool. All right, bye.
Yay. So I've actually used MFractor for a few years now, and I really wanted to show off that image asset stuff because I don't know how many people here have had to deal with image assets, but it's a huge pain in the butt, especially across platform and starting with an image. Does anybody want to see a demo of bringing an image in or what that looks like after you've brought one in?
Yes, please.
Sure. So Let me share my screen. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
I've never seen this error
Can
before.
now.
That's weird. Close all documents. There we go. So let's see here. Extensions, MFractor, manage image assets. So when I brought images in, you can see MFractor created all the images I needed for it. So let's see. I've got my splash icon, tab about, tab barcode, and it shows you the resolutions. Tab feed brings them all in. I actually have not played with Optimize All Images much. I think I used it once and it didn't do anything good for me. So I stayed away from it. But anyway, you can kind of see some of the stuff I've gotten here. So when you want to add an image, you can just say import a new image asset. And you'll see it says, okay, what do you want to bring in? And where do you want to bring it? So I'll just go find an image. Let's see. I'm sure I've got an image somewhere. So let's say I was bringing this logo in. You'll see it already knows what the 3x, 2x, and 1x would be. So I could say, well, really, I want this to be like 320 high or 128 high. And you'll see the different Android sizes and the iOS sizes, and then you just hit import image, and that's it. And then it'll bring it in. Now, you'll see there's an error here. Does anyone know why this is an error? Well, the reason is you can't have a dash in a variable name. And if you've done Android development, you'd know you couldn't name this, you couldn't reference this resource because of that dash. So you can actually just click that little wizard and it'll rename it. Best practice I use is I call it YMI logo or whatever. I make it all lowercase for a couple reasons. One, it can be case sensitive. And two, you'll do typos. You won't remember which is which. And, just to eliminate fat fingering things and so forth, or having to remember case sensitivity, I just usually make things lowercase. So yeah, that's how that works. Then you just hit import. I'm not going to import it in this project because it doesn't belong in this project, but it'll automatically add everything into the appropriate places. So you can see in this image, or in this application, you can see I've got my res drawables. They're all in there. And then I've got all my artwork for iOS and resources.
How would it handle scalable vector images?
It wouldn't, because
does it do
scalable
it?
vector images are inherently scalable. So there's no reason to build other versions of it. Android and iOS, I believe by default, I don't recall them supporting SVGs, which I think is what you're talking about. What I use instead is I use FF image loading SVG. So I do use SVGs around here. If you take a look at my drawables.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's very easy to set up. So all you got to do is in your main activity, and you got to do this in iOS as well. you configure your FF image loading. And you just have to add this cute little thing.
Well, I've had to go from an SVG as my main drawable and then having to convert down to like a PNG or JPEG. So I was just wondering if it did that. I don't know.
Oh, why?
Because that's the way I started it, and I'm a lousy artist. So.
Well, if you start it as an SVG, you should be able to use it all over your application. And then you could export that, as a ping, let's say 256 by 256, and then you could import it from there. I don't think they have built-in SVG conversion, though.
Yeah, because I kind of did that by hand and go to websites, and it'll generate them all. But I was just curious.
Right. Yeah, I usually use a website to convert the SVGs as well. There's actually a really nice site called SVG Toolkit. Let's see if I can find it. Where's my bookmarks for this? Dev. Oh, where was it? I thought I had this all. There it is, SVG tool. So you can open an SVG with this and you can fix it. So sometimes SVGs won't work for various reasons. So if you take a look at your resources, and we'll just take a look at like check complete. You can just drag it in, and it'll let you change things around. So you can remove like the XML namespace, which of course breaks it. You can just change various settings. So like if it's not working, there's some things you can get rid of. And it'll also show you if it's made it smaller automatically. So you can show the original, then after their optimization, see how we cut it in half size-wise. But it's the same SVG.
Yeah, sometimes Android doesn't like some strokes.
Yeah.
In it.
So I've gotten, I think I've had good luck. What was it? I think I removed unknowns and defaults. I had to be careful of sorting attributes. I think removing style elements, you don't want to do that, but sometimes you can. There's certain items that'll cause issues, like this title and description. But you can play around with this and keep moving it into your app till it works. And this is just, if you don't know how SVG works, then that really helps. And you can see the difference. But anyway, if you haven't seen this tool, it's very neat. I'll paste it into the chat window.
Nice. Thanks.
Another really good one if you don't have it in your toolbox. Let's see, where's my favorites here? There's an Android Asset Studio. And it'll create launcher icons for you. It'll even do a 9 patch for you. So it's very cool. You can see like how much padding you want to give. You can make it, you can use an image here too. I'm just playing around with it. You can crop it. You can center it. You can make the shape a circle. You can see it's putting the shadow in there for you. So you can cast a shadow. You can score it. Elevate it. Have nothing. You can change its name. This is where case sensitivity makes a big difference, especially if you put icon like this, but you already have an icon like that. That Windows doesn't care about that, but Git does. Git cares about case sensitivity. So be really careful naming your images and just replacing them. That can cause a world of hurt, especially with source control. I'll give you a link to this as well. Yeah. There we go. Yay. That was my quick tool set tour. Those are my go-tos. There's a few, there's more of them. But still, those are very cool. Any questions? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming to the Indy Xamarin meetup. We've got, let me look. I'm looking to see what we've got next month. Let's see. Indy Xamarin. Next month we have, oh, well, we've got upcoming events as MFractor. Oh, we got to come up with more events. I thought we already had some for June, July, and August, but all right, we'll go add more. Are there any particular topics that you would like us to cover? I know we've got Matt Sukup coming from Microsoft in, I think it's August. But June, July, any particular topics you'd want us to cover?
If I think of something, I'll reach out.
Cool, please do. Is everyone looking into Maui? Has everyone heard about that?
No.
So that's basically Xamarin Form 6 and the next generation of cross-platform app development. Microsoft's taking it's I don't even know that it's alpha yet. I gotta learn more about it. So it's a year away, maybe more. Who knows? At least I think so. That or it's December of this year. I gotta learn more about it. And they're consolidating a lot of stuff with Xamarin. If you've done any React Native development, this might be similar. So you won't have, from what I'm telling, and keep in mind it's alpha right now, what I'm seeing is they're going to get rid of the iOS and Android and UWP projects. You won't have those anymore. You'll have a single Xamarin project. And then if you need to drop into native code, you can do all of that inside of the one Xamarin project. And it'll take care of all the building from that one Xamarin project. Now, how that's going to work, I'm not sure. But if you go take a look at that, it was pretty fascinating. I'll drop a link to Maui, which means multi-platform app UI. Get it? MAUI, Maui. Yay.
Yeah.
And I'll drop a link to that in the chat. There we go. Oh, John, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks for visiting from California. That's very cool. What part of California are you from? I used to live in Los Gatos. Oh, sweet. Escondido. Isn't that Southern? Isn't that SoCal? At least I thought it was SoCal. Sweet. Now we have to fight, right? NoCal versus SoCal. Oh, very cool. Yeah, San Diego's great. So yeah, we're trying to figure out, now we got to go figure out what the topics are going to be the next 2 months. Greg, I totally thought that we had topics lined up for the next few months. I thought
we have a list. We have a list of a few. We can go back and look at them and find some to put up there.
Yeah, we'll just go put them up. Maybe I was lazy and only put 3 in and meant to put 6. Oh well, no worries. Cool. So does anyone have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll see you next month.
Nope.
All right, rock on. Well, have a good one and take care, and we'll see you next month. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.